Hello and welcome to lecture number 8. Today we will be learning about the Java if else statements and we will be also learning about the switch statement in Java. So let's start today's session. Okay, so we've already learned about those operators, the less than operator, less than equal to, greater than equal to, double equal to and not equal to. So today we will be learning how to use those operators in the if else statements. Now what is the structure of a if else statement in Java? At first you need to know that if is a keyword and else is also a keyword in Java. These two are keywords in Java. That means you can't use them as your variable name or for any other purposes. They are reserved keywords. Those are reserved and those have some special meaning in Java. So those are known as keywords. If and else are known as keywords. Now what is the structure? We will write if and after that we will provide a condition within this first bracket. If this condition is executed as true, if this condition comes out to be a true value or true statement, then the system enters into this part, enters the code, enters into this part of the code and executes what is written over here. And if the condition is evaluated as false, then the system enters into the else part of the code and executes whatever will be written on that part. All right, so if the condition is evaluated to true, the system or program enters into the if part of the program, and if the condition is false, then the program enters into the else part of the program. Now let's understand with the help of a program. Suppose we want to know if a number is odd number or a even number. Now what is the condition for a odd number or even number? If it is a even number, it must be divisible by 2. What are the even numbers? You know about the even numbers: 2 comma 4 comma 6 comma 8, and the list is endless. And what are the odd numbers? Odd numbers are not divisible by 2. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and dot dot dot. So that means if a number is perfectly divisible by 2, that means if when it is divisible by 2, the remainder is 0. That means that is a even number. And when a number is divided by 2 but the remainder is 1, then it is a odd number. So can we write this thing with the if else statement? If someone asks you to write a program to check whether a number is odd or even, so we will be using if else statement in that case. Now what is the property? We know that to find the remainder of a number we will use the modulus operator. Suppose we are doing 4 mod 2. I already taught you what will be the output, what will be the result. The result will be 0 because in modulus operator the remainder is given as the output. So when we divide 4 by 2, the remainder will be what? Remainder will be 0 because 4 is perfectly divisible by 2. But if we are dividing 5 mod 2, means if we do 5 modulus 2, the remainder will be 1. Why? Because when we are dividing 5 by 2, the remainder comes as 1. So one thing we can notice that if a number is perfectly divisible by 2, then the remainder is 0. That means this is an even number. And if a number when divided by 2 gives 1 as the output, that means that is a odd number. So we can derive these two cases. Now, can we write that in the form of a program? Yes. Now, suppose we have int n and this n will be given by the user. We have also learned how to take default inputs and user inputs. So if you have not seen these videos, go back and watch the previous lectures. So we have this number provided by the user. We have taken user input. Then we will do what? Then we will check if the number is odd or not. So what will be the condition? What is the syntax? We will write the if statement and then we will provide the condition over here within the first bracket. So what is the condition? If the number is contained within this n variable, if n mod 2 double equal to 0. So what is happening over here? N mod 2, that means we are dividing n by 2, and in modulus operator we get the remainder. So whatever will be written by this statement, by this part of the statement n mod 2, that means we are getting the remainder. And if that remainder is 0, that means what is happening? 0 double equal to 0. 0 double equal to 0 means it is checking whether the remainder which we got that is equal to 0 or not. If it is equal to 0, that means this statement is true. So it will go in and it will print system.out.println it is an even number. And in the else case, what will happen? In the else case, we can just print system.out.println it is a odd number. Why? Because if it is not even, then it is definitely an odd number, isn't it? Now you may ask that couldn't we have reversed the function? Means we can do the reverse of the thing. That means we can check at first whether it is odd or not, and if it is not odd, we could have done it as even. Now yes, that is also possible. Suppose you could have also written if n mod 2. That means we are dividing the number by 2 and we are finding the remainder using the modulus operator. And if that remainder is equal to 1, that means this is a odd number. So we will print SOPLN odd. SOPLN is short form for system.out.println. Hope you have got it. System.out.println odd. and if it is not a odd number, then we will print it as an even number. So this could have also been done. Okay, so this was just a basic odd even program. Now let's go to the window and see how the program is working. So I have already declared those parts. We have already taken a user input. This is how we will take user input. We have to also import the library, util library. I have shown all those in the last lecture. Please go and watch. Now what we will be doing, we will be using the if else statement. If n mod 2 double equal to 0, that means we are checking for even condition. And if this condition is true, what will happen? The system will print that it is an odd number. System will print system.println n plus the number which is given by the user is an, sorry, we are doing the even case, it will be an even number, not odd. I mistakenly said odd. So this is an even number that will be printed. And if this is not the case, if it is not an even number, then it must be odd number. If it is not an even number, then it must be an odd number. So that thing will be printed. Only one change, it will give me as it is an odd number. All right, so let's try to compile it and run the program. There are no syntax error. Let's run the program. Okay, so let me give suppose a number 75. 75 is an odd number. So that is supposed to be printed because 75 is not divisible by 2. Now let's run it again. Just a minute. Ah, It's okay. So I don't know. There is some problem maybe, but I hope it's clear to you now that 75 will be an odd number, and if we give something such as 70 or 38 or 36, whatever you wish, that will yield us as an even number. You can also try with 0. 0 will also give us as an even number because 0 mod 2. 0 mod 2 means we are dividing 0 by 2. So what will be the remainder? It will also come out as 0. So we don't means 0 is ambiguous. It most of us treat 0 as an even number. So this thing will also give even, 0 will also give even number. If we pass 0 as the input, then it will also give us an even number. We don't take 0 as even or odd, but if it is considered as even or odd, if we want to classify it as even or odd, we will take it as an even number. All right, so this was just a basic thing about if and else statement. Now we will be learning about the else if statement. Now what is this else if statement? Suppose we want to provide many conditions. We want to provide many condition within our program. Means we have more than one condition. We have two or three or four conditions. Then we will be using the else if statement. Now how to use that? Let me give an example. Suppose you know that voting season is going on all over India. So here is a condition that if a person is less than 15 years of age, if a person is less than 15 years of age, we will consider him as just a kid. If a person is less than 19, then we will consider him as a teenage boy. And if a person is suppose less than 18, and if a person is greater than or equal to 18, then he or she is eligible for voting. So suppose we are having multiple conditions in our Java program, then what to do? Then we will be using if and else if statements. Now how to solve this program? Suppose a person is less than 15 years of age, then we will classify him as a kid. If he is less than 18, then a teenage boy or teenage girl. And if he is greater than or equal to 18 years of age, then he or she will be eligible for voting. Now how to write this same program? So let's try it. Now first thing what we will do, the first condition we have here is whether he or she is less than 15 or not. So we will put that part within the if statement. What we will do, we will use if. Suppose we have this age variable int age, and this will be given by the user. So what we will do, if this age is less than 15, then we will do what? Then we will print just a kid, isn't it? And now what will happen? We have two more conditions to check, whether less than 18 and whether greater than 18 or not. But with the program which we learned in the last scenario, we were supposed to have only a else statement after this, but with a single else statement we cannot cover two conditions. In these cases we will be using the else if condition. We will be using the else if condition. It behaves similar to the if statement. That means we can pass another function over here. And what will happen? The Java program will move to the else if statement or else if condition only if the if condition false. That means when the program will come to this part, and suppose this part evaluates as false, this condition gives us a false value or a false statement, then only the program will move to the else if part. And here again, if it faces a false value, then it will move to the second else if part or the else part. But suppose this condition evaluates to true, then the Java program will execute only this part. All right, so I will clear it again, but let me complete this program. Else if age less than 18, that means we will print what? We will print he is just a teenage guy or a teenage girl. So this will be the else if part. And at last we have checked both of these conditions. The third condition remains, that means greater than equal to 18. That means those who are not less than 18, they must be greater than or equal to 18 years of age. So we can put all of them within the else condition. Else we will write eligible for voting. We will write eligible for voting. All right, so this is how our program will look like. Now what I was telling, suppose we have these three parts. We have this if part, we have this else if part, and we have this else part. At first the Java program moves to the if part. If the condition is successful, it will execute only this part. It won't even check the else if and else conditions. If in all, it will only check the if part. If the condition is true, the statements will be executed and it will move out. The controller will go at the end of the else part. But if the condition is false, then only it will come to this else if part. Again the same thing. If the condition is true, the statement inner statements will be executed, and the control will be going after the else part. That means the else part won't get executed if this condition was true. But if this condition was false, the control will again come to this else part, and here we don't give any conditions, we just execute what is written over here. We just execute whatever is written within this else block. All right, so those are known as blocks. These are known as block statements. If is a block, else if is another block, else is another block. So here we are having three blocks within this program. So let's try to solve this program. Let's move to the window. And okay, so this was the terminal. Just a minute. Last time it got hanged, so I just opening it again. Hope it will run this time. Okay, so what we need to do, I will just rename this variable int age, and this value will be given by the user. Next we will check what? We will check if age is less than 15. If age is less than 15, then we will print what? Then we will print just a kid. Just a kid. Next we will do what? We will introduce a else if part. Else if age less than 18. That means we can classify him as a teenage boy or teenage girl. Okay, so we will be doing what? Just a teenage boy or girl. And if he is not less than 18, that means he must be greater than or equal to 18. If both these statements or both these conditions are false, then the control will move to the else part. That means if a person is not less than 15 or not less than 18, then he must be equal to 18 or greater than 18 years of age. So he or she will be eligible for voting. We will do what? We will do age, and we will write eligible for voting. All right, so compile it, no syntax errors, and let's run the program. Okay, so here let me give an input. Suppose I am giving at first 16. So this is not less than 15, and this is less than 18. So this value will not move to the first if block, because the first if block was less than 15 or not. But it is less than 18. That means this condition is moving to the else if block. That means what will get printed? It will printed as a teenage boy. 16, just a teenage boy or girl. That was supposed to be printed. Why? Because this 16 value is entering into this block. because the first condition evaluated as false, 16 is not less than 15, so entered into this block. Now if I run it again, if I run it again, let me run it again. Okay, and now let me give another value. Suppose I am giving 24. Okay, suppose I am giving 24. So 24, that means eligible for voting. That means the first two conditions were evaluated as a false statement. The control neither moved to the first if block or this else if block, because both those conditions were evaluated as false, and at last it moved to the else part of the program. All right, so this thing was printed. I hope this if, else if, and else statements are clear to you now. We will be covering more examples, and we have some homework programs also. So if you solve them, it will be more clear. Now let's move to the ternary operator. Suppose we have already learned how to use these if and else if statements. Now we have ternary operator, which is known as a shorthand if else operator. Means we are using a shortcut. How? Suppose the program which I showed you just now, whether to check whether it is an odd or even number, we were doing what? If n mod 2, then we were doing it is even. Otherwise, we were doing else. We were doing it is just a odd number. The same thing we will do, but here we will be doing what? Here we will be using the ternary operator. So how to use this ternary operator? We will be needing a variable, and with this variable will store the output. So make sure the data type of the variable will be integer or string or what. Suppose you want to print it is an even number or it is an odd number. So we are returning a string. So the variable will be containing the result, and the result is a even or odd. That means a string value. So make sure to declare your variable a string value or a data or an integer value, whatever you will be returning as the result. Then we will be providing the condition and a question mark. That means if the condition is true, if the condition is true, then this part of the program or this part of the statement will get executed. That means if it is true, the control will move to this part. But if the condition evaluates to false, then the control will execute this part. So these two true and false, these statements are separated by a colon. That means whether the condition is true, then the first part will be executed, otherwise the second part will be executed. If it is true, the first part, and if it is false, the second part. Now let's solve it. So we want the result as a string value. So let me declare this as string answer. String answer. Next, what we will be providing the condition. What is the condition? N mod 2. N mod 2. If n mod 2 is a what? Even number. That means if n mod 2 double equal to 0. Here we are checking for even or not. If this condition is true, we want to print even. So this is the output, or else the condition will move to what? The condition will move to this part. That means at first we are checking this condition. I've already explained what will happen if n mod 2 double equal to 0. That means we are checking for even or not. So if this condition is true, that means it is a even number. We want even as our output. So we have learned over here that when the condition is checked and if the condition is true, then the control moves to the first part. And if the condition is false, then the control moves to the second part. And these two values are separated by a colon value. So if n mod 2 double equal to 0, that means that is an even number, and we want that as our output. So we are putting even as our first answer or as our first part of the answer. And if it is not divisible by 2, that means the remainder is something else than 0, so then it will evaluate to false. Suppose if n mod 2 is giving us as 1, then the 1 double equal to 0, that will evaluate to a false value. So then the control will move to this part and it will print odd. So let's try this thing. Let me move to this part of our program. Yeah, so we will be using the ternary operator now. Age, now I am doing the odd else case, so I am using n as the variable, and I want string answer. String ans. String answer equal to what? We will be doing, we will be putting the condition over here, n mod 2 double equal to 0, and then we will put a question mark, and first part will be the answer. If this condition evaluates to true, then if n mod 2 double equal to 0, then that means it is an even number, so we will put even over here. And if it is not even, then we will put odd in the next part. that will evaluate to odd. And now let me just print it. System.println answer. So answer n is n plus is answer. Okay. So let me compile it and run it. There are no syntax errors. Okay. And okay, let me provide the number. Suppose now I am providing 10. So that must be an even number. See, 10 is even. So I hope this ternary operator is clear to you now. This is what we will be doing if you are not using if else statements. Ternary operator is a shorthand for if else statement. So here we are giving the condition and then a question mark. If this condition is true, the first value will be executed, otherwise the second value will be executed. And these two values are separated by a colon. The last part of today's class, we are having the switch case statements. Suppose we have 10 or 12 conditions, or we have many conditions, suppose 7 to 8 conditions, then we will write so many if, then again else if, then again else if, then again else if, and so on, and at last we will be writing else. No, we don't have to do so much. We will be using a switch case statement. Now how this switch case statement is done, let me do. At first we have something known as switch. Now, what is this switch? This is another keyword which is reserved by Java. As we have already learned, if and else if those are reserved keywords, this switch is also another reserved keyword. And along with that, this case, this thing also another reserved keyword. And we will be also using break and default. So you don't have to understand what are those now. Just remember switch, case, break, default. These four are reserved keywords or keywords under Java, which we cannot use as variable names or for some other purposes. Now suppose I want to print the days of the week. Suppose user is giving me 5 as an value. So if I am getting 5, that means I have to print the fifth day of the week. So if I start numbering the days from 1 will be Monday, 2 will be Tuesday, then 3 will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So fifth day of the week will be Friday. So we will return Friday when user will be giving us 5 as an input value. So how can we do this program with the help of a switch case statement? Let's learn it. Now suppose the first thing we have to do will be switch. Okay, and then we will be giving the input which is provided by the user. So suppose I'm putting this variable name as choice, and this thing will be given by the user, int choice, and that number will be provided by the user. So I will write switch choice. Whatever value will be given by the user, we will store that in variable and we will put that inside the switch condition. So that is how we will declare the switch block. Next we will be having the cases. Case 1. Case 1. Suppose this choice value, the choice value which was entered by the user was 1. Suppose user entered 1 over here, then the switch statement will move inside this block and this case 1 will be executed. That means whatever choice value will be written, the control will move to that block. So if it is case 1, then it will print what? Then it will print Monday. If it is case 2, then it will print what? Then it will print Tuesday, and so on. If it is case 3, then it will print Wednesday, then Thursday, and Friday, and so on. So whatever the value of the choice will be given by the user, the control will move to that case. If it is given as 3, then the control will move to case 3 and Wednesday will be getting printed. So this is how switch case statements are executed. And at last we need to give a closing brace. Now this was clear, but what is the purpose of break and default? What is the purpose of break and default? See, the example which I told to you is written over here. But notice one thing, this is the day provided by the user. If this day, the value of day is 1, then the control will move to this case. If the value of day is 2 as given by the user, then the control will move to this case, and so on. But these things are written, break is written over here, break is written over here, break is written in every cases. And at last here it is not written. At last we also write something known as default. What are the purpose of this thing? So let me make it clear to you. This break statement is necessary to be written in every cases. Why? Because suppose you are writing case 1, just a minute. Suppose you are writing case 1 and you are printing Monday. Now you are moving to case 2 and you are printing Tuesday. If you don't put a break statement, if you don't put a break statement at the end of this case, that means the control will execute all those cases until a break statement is encountered. And this is known as the fall through situation in Java. Fall through situation in Java, or fall through situation in switch case. What happened? I told you that if we don't provide this break statement, that means what was supposed to happen? If the user entered the value 4, then the control will enter into this block and it will print Thursday. That was supposed to be printed. It would if we are writing 4, then we won't want Friday, Saturday, Sunday as the output. But if you don't provide those break statements over here, then the output will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If the control which is given by the user as 4, then the output will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That means if the user inputs 4, day is 4, so switch 4, that means the control is moving to case 4. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all of them will be printed. Why? Because break statement was not given. But if we provide the break statement, then what will happen? Whenever this Thursday will get printed, then the control is moving to break statement, and that means the control is moving out of this switch block. The control is moving out of this switch block. No more further cases will be executed. So whenever this break statement is encountered, the control will be moving outside this switch block. But if the break statement was not encountered, then the control will move to the next cases. It will print whatever is written over here. It will print whatever is written over here. It will keep on It will keep on entering into new cases and printing whatever is written over there until a break statement is encountered. And this whole thing is known as fall through situation. So I hope it is clear now. You can also read what is written over here. And at last we are having the default keyword. This default keyword is what? Suppose the user has given such a value. Suppose the user has given 10, but we know that 10 is not a we don't have 10 days in a week. We only have up to 7. So that means that is a wrong output, or that is something which cannot be printed or which cannot be executed. So any such value provided by the user which cannot be executed or which cannot have any meaningful output, we put all those cases inside the default. That means suppose 4 was written over here, so switch 4, that means the case 4 will be executed. But suppose int day 10 was given over here, that means switch 10, but there are no 10 cases over here, there are cases only up to 7. So in such case, the control will move to the default block. That means when none of the cases are executed, when none of the cases are executed, then the control moves to the default block. When none of the cases are executed, then the control moves to the default block, and whatever is written within the default block, that thing will get printed. Okay, so if we have given such a value to the program, or if we have given a wrong value, in such cases none of the cases will be executed, nothing will be printed or nothing will be executed. In such a case, the switch will move to the default block, and whatever is written within the default block, that thing will be printed. So I hope this break and default keywords are clear to you now. This is very important and many questions come from this part, this fall through situation. What is the fall through situation in Java? So it is necessary to write a break statement after each and every cases. If you don't use a break statement, then the control will move to the next cases also, and print or execute whatever is written over there. And it will keep on printing unless and until it encounters another break. When it will encounter another break, then only it will move out of the switch block. And if none of the cases are executed, then the control moves to the default keyword. Then the control moves to the default keyword. All right, and whatever is written within this default block, that will get printed. So I hope this switch case is also clear to you. Go through these slides once, and I have also given some homework programs. Those are very important programs, very important for your ICC purpose. So this first 5 can be solved with if else as well as switch cases. Try to solve these programs using if else or switch case, whatever you prefer, but the last two will be done only with switch cases. This could also have been done by if else statement, but last two must be solved with switch cases and the first five will be solved with if else or switch case as you prefer. So complete those homework programs and let me know if there are any problems. And if you have any problem in this homework program, tell me, mention me in the comment section, and I will be making videos on those programs too. So I won't make on each and every program. Whatever you will say that we are facing in 3 or 6 or 7, whatever program number you will give that you are facing difficulty, I will be solving that. And like, share, and comment the video and make it uh, viral among your friends, because it takes a lot of effort to make all this, and I'm doing this for free of cost. So that's all for today's session. I hope you have learned the Java if else statements and switch case statements. If you have any doubt or any query, you can mention in the WhatsApp group or in your comment section. Okay, thank you.